skip skip this your March 24, 2026 lesson. This is what we started with. This is, your 7-iron looks just like this. We're making the same moves through. There are a lot of good things going on here. You're turning through fine. Everything's looking better than when we started, but we're still making some characteristic errors, as you can tell by now. So, so you can see how that shaft is rarely parallel to the yellow lines, which means you really have to, you're making unnecessary movements to get it off of plane, and then corrective movements to get it back on plane. So we, this is after we talked. This isn't a bad spot here. See how the club head is about overlapping your hands when the shaft is parallel to the ground. But then you continue getting this thing, just throwing it back. See how it's way under the plane? So we want to make this shallowing thing late in the backswing. Okay, so then all the momentum here is going over here, and then we're dumping it over the top. So the big club head is going around. See, and then if you look, the way you look from your perspective, looking at your hands, you got the counterclockwise move. So you're up here at the top, and let's check the depth here. I think this depth is. So the depth is good. So you got good depth on this swing. That's after we worked on it for a while, and that we had that as an objective. That's really good. So you can get by with a little bit of a steepness, but this overcooks it. Now watch the butt of the club, and watch the relationship of your hands. Let me draw a line through here. This is kind of the handle of the, whoops. It's kind of the relationship of your hands. Now watch the butt of the club. See how your hands are getting steep compared to that purple line, and the butt of the club is it's going down here a little, but it's also got the thing going towards the ball, and as you in transition, that left shoulder is kind of. It's kind of in there. That's not bad. So your hands are just going towards the ball. Your hands are going right towards the ball, and then you're getting out. So the checkpoint we always look for is when the hands are waist high, is the shaft along that left forearm. That's the checkpoint. That's first checkpoint. Should be along that dotted line. And the next checkpoint is when the shaft is parallel to the ground. We don't want it there. That's outside, right? What we want is just kind of here. There. That's where you want the club head. All the great players have those 2 points. So in this swing, it's not out. So this is going to go out, and the only way you can save it is to get the club face if you want to hit a straight ball. But the lower body action is pretty good. You're getting up to your toe, through as ever, better than. Except you're just introducing so much extra movement and causing inconsistency. I guarantee if you have everything lined up and you haven't clapped down, closed down the class or left it wide, this is a swing that we ended up with at the end of the session. Now see how the shaft pretty much stays parallel to the the yellow lines, in other words, parallel to the swing plane. It gets a little steep at the top, but you do a late shallowing. And how did we get here? So, better takeaway, so that's met better, and it's not flung as far inside. And then watch the relationship of your hands. So they're starting to get steep, and now you go, no. Now see that angle between the shaft and the yellow line? Watch it. Angle is going to be decreasing late. And what we're trying to say is make the shallowing early, so you don't have to do this mid-swing. So you go, see how it's steep, and then you shallow it out mid-swing. If we started on plane, then we don't have to do the mid-swing correction. And under pressure, we get shorter and quicker, and we don't have a chance to do a late shallowing. There's not enough time. So now, again, kind of nitpicking, what will improve this swing? See how your shoulders are still flat? I mean, they're horizontal, okay? And, that limits your backswing a bit, but then you have to find ground. So that adds a complexion. Remember, when we get to the top, we want that's the spine angle. You can't see the top of that left shoulder, but you can see it's, and it looks like you don't need, I'm trying to draw that 90 degrees. I'm not doing a very good job. So that, that red line, that should be about where your shoulders are, and that left shoulder is, 3 inches out of place, and therefore your right shoulder is 3 inches out of place. It just makes the swing more difficult. And the one on the right is what you started with. And the size of the swing, this is going to go 60 yards. That's almost your full swing. And see how you got the same issue. You get it to the top, you throw your hands, and your hands just rotate the wrong direction. Super steep, not even close to your forearm. Club outside the ball, it's going to go left unless you open the club face and all. So what we did was we put the ball back in your stance off the back toe, open the stance a bit more, and shorten the backswing. So we got it a heck of a lot shorter. So look at the difference. Okay, now you don't have much depth on here. It'd be easier if you had some depth. But what you do a nice job of getting the butt of the club to go towards your left hip, which is now open because you got the open stance. Now watch this one on the left. So the butt of the club goes around your body, turns the corner. See how it gets close to your body? That allows the club to come in shallow. See, that's a really good stroke. Way better backswing. And now hands are, you could use a little more depth, but the great move is that butt of the club goes to the left of the target, and you're keeping the club face. So the club face